We're in the midst of a pandemic and we cannot afford to forget it even for a second. What we've noticed in the last few weeks is that people who are stepping out now in public places seem to be forgetting to wear their masks or wear their masks the right way. Very often people now seem to be wearing masks only for the sake of not attracting a fine or a penalty. And therefore, there are many circumstances of people wearing their masks just up till here, not covering your nose, putting it on the chin, etc. In this video, I'm not just going to be breaking down some basics about wearing masks, which is really the need of the hour and important for us to highlight even at this stage as we fight coronavirus. I'm also going to be giving you details of a recent research that again highlights the importance of wearing face masks. Let me first give you details about this research that's been done by Nature Neuroscience that says that if you don't wear your mask properly, and that is, if you don't cover your nose with your face mask, it could lead to the coronavirus actually directly affecting your brain. Now, this alarming research data has found, based on detailed studies, that there are several patients of coronavirus who suffer a lot of neurological problems. And when they looked into that, it was found that many of the patients actually had the virus directly affect neurologically. This meant that they found some genetic material of the virus in their brain and also in the nasopharynx, which is the cavity close to your throat, which means clearly it was inhaled. Now, while the study doesn't conclusively say that, it's led to a lot of talk by experts, again reiterating how important it is to wear your face mask properly to ensure your mouth and your nose, very importantly, is fully covered. And that's why in this video I'm also going to be exploring some points that you must keep in mind when you wear your face mask, besides ensuring that it's got full coverage. Depending on the mask you wear, I'm going to be explaining some important details. Number one, with regards to clinical or medical grade masks, can they be reworn? The answer is a strict no. These masks are disposable masks. They're meant to be worn only once and then you throw them off. I'm talking about the surgical masks, which are very effective, but effective only if you ensure you wear it once. And even when you dispose of it, ensure you follow all norms. Don't touch the outer cover because that's where the virus sticks. Ensure you remove the pants and throw it immediately without touching the outer cover. What about cloth masks? Can they be reused? Absolutely. But it is important to highlight that when you reuse a cloth mask, it must be cleaned regularly. Do not take it for granted. Don't step out to a market for 5 minutes, think you've worn it only for 5 minutes and then wear it again. It's very important that you keep regularly washing your cloth mask. And that brings us to the next question. How do you ensure that your cloth mask is clean? Well, when you wash it, ensure that you put it in the laundry. Use an odor-free, chemical-free detergent. That is the best possible way to ensure your cloth mask is kept clean and that you can use it regularly. So it's important, if you're using cloth masks, to have at least about 7 of them, one for each day of the week. But if you're going to different places, ensure you keep changing it. Now, what type of mask should be worn where? This is a question that we come across very often, and going by the studies and what experts have to say, very clearly, if you're in a high-risk place, for example, in a hospital, in a clinic, ensure that you wear a medical-grade mask. And that's not all. Ensure you wear a face shield as well. Wear gloves. Maximum protection is basically the need of the hour when you go to any clinic, any hospital, or even crowded marketplaces. If it's a question of going to offices and ensuring that you're going to a place where there is social distancing, you can go ahead and wear cloth mask. But at no point can you afford to take things for granted. Always wear a mask, no matter where you are. And that brings me to the next question. Can you buy or use any cloth mask? Well, it's important that you keep certain details also in mind. When you're buying a cloth mask, ensure it's multi-layered. A single layer will mean it's very thin, make it very easy also for impurities to infiltrate through, in which case there's absolutely no purpose of wearing a mask. Besides ensuring that ideally it's 3-layered and of cotton, you can also add your own layers. You can put in a tissue paper and the likes to ensure it's thicker. Besides that, ensure it fully covers your face. A mask that is not fully covering, and particularly a cloth mask that's loose, simply does not do it. There is no point in wearing a mask if it's loose, falls off your nose, or is open from the sides. Now, a question that's often asked is about children wearing masks. Well, it depends. If it's an infant below 2 years of age, it's recommended that they don't wear masks. It's important to highlight here that ideally they should not also step out because they are falling in the vulnerable category when it comes to coronavirus. But because there are chances of suffocation, it is advisable that for toddlers or infants below 2 years of age, they do not wear face masks. Above that, however, infants about 2 years of age must cover their faces, especially while stepping out or meeting new people. Now, there's a lot of talk about copper masks, and I'm sure you've heard about it because it's the latest trend. Besides cloth masks, a lot of people are now using copper masks. Again, when you're buying a copper mask, ensure you do adequate research, because very often in the market now you find copper masks that don't really do what they're supposed to, which is cover your face as much as an N95. Essentially, that's the gold standard of masks. Always look at an N95 and see if these masks do the same amount of coverage on your face as an N95. But when we talk about copper masks, the reason there's so much of talk and hype about it is because of the fact that copper is known to have certain antimicrobials, which means that it kills virus when it touches its surface. But that also means that when you wear it, it has to cover your face properly, it has to cover your nose and mouth. And then in that case, yes, copper masks are great and as good as any other mask. They are a lot more expensive than cloth masks, which is why a lot of people don't really opt for them. But it is currently something everyone is talking about. And finally, before I wrap up this video, let me also touch upon how you're supposed to dispose of your mask. This is very, very important. Your duty doesn't end with just ensuring that you're wearing a mask while outdoors. Once you get back to your home, once you're in a safe environment and you want to remove your mask, ensure that you don't touch the outer cover of the mask, because that's got all of your impurities, all of the virus. If you happen to touch it, wash your hands repeatedly and going by the strict norms set out by experts, and then go about your day's duties. And as I mentioned earlier, if it is a surgical mask, only wear it once, immediately dispose of it. Now, some of these points that I mentioned to you is something a lot of us have read about in the beginning of the pandemic. However, as months have gone on, we've become lax, have failed to follow. Our masks are our lifeline. It's important to keep saying that. And even at this stage of the pandemic, we may be talking about vaccines, it's not yet here, and that's why it's important to mask up.